Was saying I would have to sit into meetings with the principal, the counselors, the teacher, and the parent on why my child should not be held back and should progress on to the next grade. It was very difficult, and I was told basically, you, the parent, are the first teacher, which that's it. And I'm like, back then I didn't understand that. I'm like, hold on, I'm a struggling mother. I'm working overnight. I'm trying to go to school. Like, I'm sending her to school, hoping, that you're going to teach her. Like, what about those parents that are not able to just sit with their kids and teach and overteach and stuff like that? Because they were like, it was so many different tests and it was stuff that you had to do with your child at home as well. Like, she would do all this work at school and then come home and have to do mountains of work. Girl. And I didn't understand that because back when I was in school, we didn't have all that work that was loaded on the student and the parent to do, that the teachers just taught when you went to school. You know what I mean? But the generations had changed and it was no longer like that. The parent became basically the first teacher, and most of the teacher, because the teachers were not doing as much as it seems like they used to, and they were demanding way more from the students than they did prior years back when I was in school and further generations back. More is required of them now. They had these harsh testings that they would basically fail your whole child for a test, one test. They could be doing great all school year and they fail that test, baby, they finna fail your child. Like, it was a lot. And not to mention, she was going through emotional stuff. I'm going through emotional stuff. I'm in a deep, dark depression. And I couldn't be the best I could for my child. But I just didn't understand how, because I couldn't get it together to be the best for my child, why does my child get a less of an education? What about those mothers that are working 2 and 3 jobs and they would love to help their child with educational things? Are they supposed to suffer too? So that meant basically the children with the functioning household just were going to do better than the children with the dysfunctioning households. Like, and it just didn't seem fair, but that's just how it was. That's how it is. And I took it on to myself to like really just sit there with her. At that point, I would sit with her doing homework like all night. I'm sleepy as I don't know what. I'm in school myself. But Money finally got it together. And Money started bringing her grades up, 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 up. This was really like somewhat after my mother passed away. I don't know what sparked that fire in Money, but she started really doing good in education wise. Okay. And then she ended up being in high school. So she went from being on the cusp of failing from kindergarten to maybe third grade, to be honest with you guys, to in high school being in the National Honor Society in high school and being on the National Technical Honor Society in her tech school. She was a dual enrollment student. She had to raise her grades up to even be accepted into dual enrollment. She didn't have a high enough GPA. She got that thing up. And then when she got that up, she got on the National Honor Society in school and tech school. She graduated high in her class from tech school and high school at the same time. And she went on to achieve a full ride scholarship to college, where she joined me in college with me. We actually went to college together at the same time in the same school. We was meeting up in between classes and stuff. Girl had me taking her every restaurant. Ma, you got us today. And I'm like, well, Money, when you gonna have me? But yes, that was so beautiful. And on the cusp of me graduating, Money had another year and something of school, and then she would be graduating. So now, this child that started here, where you predestined that she was going to end up a statistic, actually surpassed all those statistics and is on the cusp of graduating. Okay, but kind of life got real around the time she got ready to graduate from college. So before I get to that, let me read what I had wrote about that. Okay. The proudest I was as a mother was basically that year. Oh my gosh, like my child was getting every award that you can think of. All kinds of award ceremonies. She got the scholarship because I'm like, dang, I ain't been able to save nothing for her to go to college. And I was down on myself. I'm like, what type of mother don't send their child to college thinking, that's what messed my life up, not continuing and finishing college when I was young. And I definitely wanted to at least get her there so that she could have something to start on. But she did it. She did it. And I'm even more proud of her now. In the last half of the year in college, she got pregnant. She did get pregnant in her last year. Okay, which I mean, she outlasted me. I got pregnant with her at 19. She got pregnant with our granddaughter at 20, and she had her by 21. Okay, she was still in college. And she took classes while pregnant and worked while pregnant through just about her whole pregnancy. She worked all the way up till that time. But I knew something was wrong because a mother knows her child. She went into labor due to a car accident with the truck. Basically, the truck hit her car. It put her into, I guess it put her into shock, which put the baby into shock. And the baby just started pushing. Princess like, get me up out of, I don't know what y'all doing out there, but girl, get me out of here. Yes, Princess wasn't playing. So they could have lost their life, but thank God they didn't. There were still things that happened as a result. She lost her car that was paid for. She had a basically for graduation. Well, I got my old crusty tail graduated, and my dad had bought me a 2020 Kia something or other. I can't even remember, but it was one of those. Oh, Optimum. Yes, it was a nice, beautiful car. So Money says she taking one test drive, and I never seen that car again. It was laid out with Money name on the side of it. She put lights under the bottom and this and that. But see, me, I'm not a materialistic person, so I let her switch cars with me. I had got her it was a smaller grade car, which I only need something that's functional to get me from here to there, and then we good. So she had that Kia Optimum that was paid completely off. We had to repurchase her car during inflation. So the insurance that it didn't cover nothing. It was a drop in a bucket. Anybody that has had an incident with a car knows insurance don't cover nothing. You're gonna come out of it owing. I actually had a person come and hit my parked car. A drunk driver hit my parked car, totaled my car, drugged my car. Like he pushed my car so hard, backed up, pulled my bumper off my car, and ran off and sped into a neighborhood and was basically found behind the wheel, just knocked out, just laid out drunk. He totaled my car I had just paid off. I had a Ford Focus. And the insurance company didn't give me nothing. I ended up in having to buy another car and now having to make payments. So you go from having a paid off car to now you're in debt because you're buying another car. So that has happened to me before, but this time Money is buying a car during inflation. They they sucking us dry. That same car 2 years ago would not have been worth what they're charging us for now. Money should have been able to get some big luxury SUV for what they're charging us for this little car. So that little bit that came from the insurance company didn't cover nothing. Okay. So our insurance now is basically about, I mean, not insurance, the car is about $600 payment almost a month. And that's just the car. That is not the insurance. That is crazy. Like we can't afford it. Money literally was in the labor room trying to make an insurance claim. Yes, she was in labor, and because I told you she was in an accident, and basically had the next day had to be taken to the hospital because she was going in labor and stuff, and so took her to deliver the baby. So she's basically in the hospital trying to make an insurance claim. So there was no time in between, right? Okay. And to make it no better, they paid out pennies compared to what we have to pay on the new car, right? And now they raised the amount of the car insurance to where we can't afford it. We can't afford it. The car insurance quote that they quoted me was $700 a month. Y'all is kidding me. I'm drowning. I try to keep smiling. I don't know how we're gonna make it, but I know um a lot of people think that's coming off as, I don't know, because I know everybody's going through something. I just personally, I don't know how I'm gonna make it. I feel like I'm drowning. I feel like I'm trying my best not to give up. And that's why I press on further on this channel. It's too much. So then the inflation also caused my rent, my apartment rent, to go up. It doubled. I'm paying double now in my rent because landlords were able to raise the rent. It is so much going on at this moment, and I'm thinking like I'm trying to swim up above the waves, but at some point your arms get tired and you're like, I'm drowning, you know. And also because of the way the accident happened, the insurance, which makes no sense, they tried to pay for her labor and delivery. So because they did that, which that was already covered under her health insurance, this makes no sense, but this is what happened to us. She wasn't able to treat. So she basically left a accident with a semi truck without being able to treat in the hospital at all. Not being able to go to the chiropractor. They said it's been all exhausted. There is no money. And I know how these injuries being untreated basically is where I am. So now this is I got to get a hold of this. So here passes on the generational curse of imperfect health. I can't say it right. Imperfect health. That's what I'm trying to say, y'all. Imperfect health. And that's your health is everything. As anybody that can't do something, oh boy, that is the one thing you want to do. It's hard as heck trying to raise a child and you're not in physical shape to do so, etc. Like basically working, oh, that's what I had to do, girl. With money, like basically I've been injured since I was 23. So most of my work experience has been trying to work injured and hurting and with different ailments, carpal tunnel, herniated disc, back herniated disc at the lower back, sciatica, TMJ. The list goes on and on and on. Trying to work under all of those restrictions of your body is very hard. It's hard to keep a job when the job has a job description, and most jobs have a quota, and they want to get as much work out of you as they can get. When you're performing slower than others, when you're not like a machine, they want to get rid of you. I've been to so many freaking darn jobs, job to job to job, just trying to find a job that I can work that doesn't hurt as much, because it's almost impossible for me to find a job that doesn't hurt me with all the injuries and ailments that I have. So if she leaves these things untreated, talk about following someone's footsteps to a T. And that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted for her at all. Also, on top of dealing with those injuries, she had to move away from where she was living, and it's due to domestic violence. I've never mentioned that before. I've just mentioned that money is going through a lot. She got a lot on her plate, but she's dealing with the issue of domestic violence. And basically, it came to a head not even a month after she gave birth to our granddaughter. So her heart is broken. It's a lot going on. It's a more than I can tell. It's too much going on. So I have written, more than anything else in this world, I wanted our daughter to experience happiness and joy. Though I only had it for a split moment before it was ripped away from me, I would trade it. If they said I had to give my happiness for the rest of my life so our daughter can be happy, I would gladly do it. It's what it's all for, the next generation. I never wanted my daughter to go through nothing I went through. I'm a strong woman. I am a tough woman. I have been through a lot. I've been through, girl, so much, so much. But everything I've been through, I wouldn't dare want my daughter to go through it. If I can take that pain from her, baby, I would. I would. That's why I'm trying to figure it out. Mama trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out how both of us can fly in this, in this day and age, basically. So basically, I want to be able to afford the car insurance, the rent, we need to get her treated and get her on a good path so that she can have a full healthy life, because her having a full healthy life um is contingent, well, not really contingent. Princess having a full healthy life is contingent on money having a full healthy life. We pass on things through generations, and it needed to stop with me. It didn't need to go to the next generation. Okay, then I wrote, it's hard, but it's not impossible. Y'all know a little bit about my sister that just passed away. I just shared a little bit about her. Um, she passed from MS. Yes. Last week was her birthday, and I basically, one of the visions that I remember of her was her dancing. She loved to dance. She loved music. She was so happy. She was so joyous. But she loved to dance. And I remember her dancing to Cha-Cha Slide. Girl, her other favorite was R. Kelly, but we wasn't finna do nothing to R. Kelly over here. So we were doing the Cha-Cha Slide, basically in remembrance of her. And I just can envision and remember her getting up and dancing to this. And if you know about MS, MS is a degenerative disease. Basically, your all of your functions just start shutting off. Things such as walking, you stop being able to walk. Then it got to the point where she was able to stand, but she couldn't walk. And then it got to the point where she could no longer stand, but she was able to use her hands. And then it got to the point where she could use one hand. And then it got to the point where she was like, losing the ability in my second hand. I hate that my hand is going out. And then it got to the point where she was in a wheelchair and she could no longer sit up in the wheelchair because her core is going down. She can no longer balance herself. And then it became to the point where she was bedridden. And then it came to the point where she couldn't even eat food. I remember one of the last times going to visit her. My family is from Chicago, so we had to go back to Chicago, but everybody moves out of Chicago to like the places around Chicago. So we go visit her, and she's like, Mom. Now, she couldn't talk that good at all. You would have to get so close to her because she could barely move her mouth to talk. And she was like, Mom, I want an Italian beef. She wanted an Italian beef sandwich. But it got to the point where She had to be tube fed. One of the last times I seen her, you could just see so much emotion. She couldn't talk or nothing, but when she seen us, she was so happy. She was just overjoyed. And when we went to her memorial, the guy doing the memorial basically were the people from the hospital, and they were saying she learned to communicate through her eyes. Everything else had shut down, but she still used her eyes to communicate. If you're doing okay today, give me one blink. If you're doing not so well, give me two. She started communicating through her eyes using what she had left. And that's what that taught me. Whatever I got left, because I'm in no way as bad off as she, I in no way suffered like she suffered. So I still got some ability. I did a graphic design project about that. Disability doesn't mean no ability. And people want to sometimes mistreat people because they're disabled and feel like, oh, you're no good to us and you can't do this, you can't do. No, baby. Just because I'm disabled in one area does not mean I'm not able in another area. Me and my cuz had a whole channel about that where we was basically showing our disabilities and showing how we get through them. Yes. So yes, it's not easy, but you can do it. And that reminds me, we were doing the cha-cha slide in honor of her, basically. And someone got on there and said something hateful, which I just laughed at it. I mean, I had the courage to get in front of the camera. I'm not camera ready. I just do what I can do at the moment. And I did the cha-cha slide. And someone left a comment that they feel sorry for the grass. I'm like, wow, I can't do nothing right. That's what it almost makes you feel like I can't do anything right without being criticized about everything I do. But I brushed it off and went on about my life. And Juju, he got his little cha-cha slide. I taught him it really quickly. I gotta upload that. Juju doing his cha-cha slide. I thought everybody was gonna do it. The whole thought was that we was just gonna break out into it. Like if we at the store, if we at the mall, if we this place, that place, just break out into cha-cha slide. That's what I wanted to do. And then upload it and other people start cha-cha sliding and bringing awareness to MS and those that have survived and are surviving MS. Yes. So though I'm in no way, I'm not really complaining. And that's the one thought that always comes to me when I tell how I'm struggling. It's not really complaining. I'm just telling how it's a struggle. It's hard. It's very hard. I'm hoping to basically anybody with the same issues, maybe giving them encouragement that they can do it too. Like that's what I'm hoping. But a lot of people see it as complaining. People see anything. I don't care what you do and what intentions you do something in, they're going to find the good in it and they're going to find the bad. Most times they're going to find more bad than good in it, right? So even though my disabilities and injuries have kept me from doing so much of what I wanted to do, um, it has it stopped me and hindered me in a lot of ways. But even though it has, I don't let it completely shut me down and stop me. Until my hands don't move, we're gonna be trying to figure something out. Basically, even now in my job now, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I need to do a whole story time about that because this is getting too long. But it's getting hard to even continue to work every day. Like, but what else do I do? I have this mountain of debt attached to me and attached to my offspring that we gotta work. But for me, the injuries, what they have stopped me from, number one, cosmetology. I am a licensed cosmetologist that cannot basically work in a salon because I can't. I tried. I ain't telling you nothing without me trying. I tried tooth and nail. But I'm a licensed cosmetologist that can't work in a salon due to my hands, my carpal tunnel, arthritis, and nerve damage. I wanted to be a tattoo artist, but the little needle can't handle that. Even as a cosmetologist, the clipper cuts, I couldn't do that because the vibrating, and it would feel like electric shocks just going up my arm. Like I'll be in mid trying to do this, and it's something that snatches your arm back. So I couldn't be the tattoo artist that I wanted to be. Finding better employment, baby, like I said, I've been trying to find a job that I can do for the entire longest. A lot of the better jobs have to do with typing. I can't type. It's not that I can't type, it hurts like heck to type. Um, and I've even tried to, even though those jobs were hurting me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna still try it. Maybe I'm, maybe I can survive it. Maybe I could. So, because I didn't want that fear to keep me in the job I was in, so I would always still go out and try it, and still try to do the job. Which I had a job just typing in addresses and names, and I thought I can do that. Couldn't do it. It was hurting so bad. I was hurting all up and down my arms. It was to the point where my hands were so swollen. And especially when you wake up, when you first wake up and your nervous system is not going, I couldn't even pick up my phone. I would have to scoop my phone up off the bed because my hands won't move in the morning. I can't do this. I'm doing this now because, and it hurts and it's swollen, but I'm doing this now because we're well into the day and my system is kind of moving. But I couldn't, you get up and your hand is like this. So I would have to scoop my phone up and I would have to tap the button like that, tap the phone button to answer it and scoop it up to my face. That's how I have to function. But as long as I have that function, I'm going to function. I'm going to use everything that I have left. And that's exactly what I learned from my sister. Um, so finding better employment has been very difficult for me, even doing graphic design school and my career as a graphic designer. It was so hard. I remember when I first started graphic design school and I was getting through writing on my reports basically through the phone. My little nephew had showed me the little speaker on the phone and you can talk and it'll type out what you're saying. So that's how I would write all my reports, or I would have somebody else type it up for me. But it came down to one class where it was in school where we would have to critique stuff, but we would have to type it in a chat. I type like this. If I ever comment back to you, baby, this is how I'm commenting back. It could take me 2 hours to comment back to you. It can take 2 to 3. Sometimes it takes me a day to email something. That could be a paragraph. But she wanted us to do feedback, and it always has to be thoughtful and in depth. And I couldn't type. I would get like, and it'll be time up. And she'd be like, "You didn't write anything." And I'm like, if you only knew that I just gave this more than what I have, more than my all. And my more than my all was never enough. And it wasn't until finally I broke down and I was like, I, I can't, my hands don't work. And they referred me to a counselor in the school. And they basically, and at that time, I'm still going blind, but I had issues with seeing the computer screen and this and that. I kept breaking my contacts. So without my contact, I go to completely, basically blind. Can't see nothing but watercolors and shapes, barely. Can see, but barely. So they asked the teacher, they was like, he's going to be honest with us. These two people that I know, they're going to be completely honest. And they asked, do you think that Keita has, well, my real name I go by is Keita, not Kadlac. So they didn't say Kadlac. They said, Keita, do you believe Keita has a fighting shot at being a graphic designer? And they said, no. I'm so sorry, but no. She's not fast enough. There's no way she can keep up with the workflow of a graphic designer. And that was towards the beginning of school in graphic design. I graduated. I'm still slow. I graduated. But I always graduated knowing I can't really keep up with the real flow, so I won't be able to work for an employer as a graphic designer. I'm going to have to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to have my own graphic design company where I can take as long as I want, or I'm going to have to do something online like I'm trying to do this YouTube. I'm going to have to try to do something that I can be an entrepreneur and make my money from what I can do and not be beat down because Kitty, you didn't meet quota. You're not doing this fast enough. You're not, girl. So it stopped me a lot in that. And even my current job. Yep. Where I'm at now, I work at a theme park. I have basically been transferred all over the theme park looking for better, for a job that hurts me less. Since there's going to be some pain, I'm looking for the least amount of pain that I can get. And it's very difficult. Just when I think I'm settling in my job now, they're introducing something new that kind of got my hands on swole, girl. And I'm like, even now, I'm thinking. So a lot of times I go through the stuff and I'm like, I know it hurts, but then I go ice myself later, or I'll go to the bathroom and I'll rub muscle rub cream on me. I'll cry it out, and then I'll put my game face on and get back to work. But even now, it's some new things that they're doing that I'm like, am I gonna have to try to transfer again? Because I can't keep up with it. So all of that is basically where I'm at, where I stand in my life now. And to bundle all those things, this is what I have last, to bundle all those loose ends, I just want my family back together, happy, healthy, safe, and thriving. Yes. Okay, so basically, thank you for being here. If you made it through these 2 long, drawn out videos, girl, that I didn't even rehearse, practice, was interrupted many, many times, I know that you are a true